Hello. So I had some weird issues with the VMware running on my new computer, and it got the Intel 12700K CPU, so it got 20 threads. So it got 8 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores, and the performance cores got like another extra 8 threads. So I get 20 threads here. And yeah, and some weird issues. And the issues were in the VMware, and I'm running Windows 11 on this machine as well. One issue were that the keyboard didn't work in the virtual machines. They didn't work at all. It's like they were frozen. Another issue I had was the number of processors I could use on the virtual machines, and when I installed Windows here, I had set it to 8. And when you actually edit, if you select cores here, you can, I got just one processor, but you can set the number of cores for it to use. And I set it to 8, and I had the worst performance issues on Windows, running it with 8 cores. And of course I googled it, and it said that well, yeah, VMware have some issues when you give it more than 4 cores. Kind of a weird reason, but right now I'm just running 4 cores on each virtual machine, and I have basically no issues. Yeah, the problem with the keyboard, a lot of people said, well, you should go into options and the general tab here, and you should disable the enhanced keyboard, turn it off, and that didn't work. And no matter what I did, it didn't matter what setting I changed, the same problem, keyboard didn't work. And yeah, so I found out that I also have problems with blue screens, or I used to have problems with blue screens on Windows 11. And it had to do, finally, I figured out it had to do with 2 USB hub controllers. So I got these 2 serial bus controllers, and it's these 2. The USB 3.10 extensible host controller and 3.20. So these caused problems because Intel doesn't have any drivers for this, and the motherboard manufacturer Asus doesn't have any drivers for these. So these are actually using drivers from Microsoft, and these are quite buggy apparently, and these are the drivers that cause the kind of blue screens and issues. They still cause issues. So what I had to do was to actually just right click on this and select uninstall device on both of these. And when they were uninstalled, of course, the keyboard and mouse I have stopped working completely. So I couldn't restart the computer with them. So I figured out that, well, I can actually just click on the power button and it will do sort of a safe shutdown. Like you normally shut down Windows. If you hold in the power button, it will just shut it off. Like boom. But if you just click it once, it will do a sort of a safe shutdown. And when the computer rebooted again or started, it will reinstall these 2, and then suddenly it worked better. I don't have any blue screens anymore. So yeah. And I guess that it's those USB hubs that also causes some weird issues with the VMware, the USB stuff. But for some reason now it actually works properly on Windows and on Ubuntu. But on Kubuntu, the keyboard still have issues, and I found out a reason why, at least here. So if you go into the virtual machine settings for Kubuntu here and go to USB controllers, I have everything set to, the other machines are set to use USB 3.1. It works just fine. But it doesn't work with Kubuntu for some reason. So if I set it to 3.1, the keyboard doesn't work. The mouse works, but not the keyboard. And yeah, so people said I should go here and disable this enhance, but didn't work. This worked though. So as soon as I change it to USB 2.0, right now it actually works. So it's kind of weird with the Linux stuff. So yeah, VMware are a bit weird on the Windows 11 and with my machine at least. So I tried out the Hyper-V stuff. And Hyper-V is completely free to use, and it actually comes with Windows. The only thing is that it's not installed by default, so you need to kind of activate it and reboot your computer. But yeah, Hyper-V also got some weird issues. And one thing you have to think about when you create a new virtual machine is that it doesn't give you an option to select how many cores to use. You have to do that afterwards. With Hyper-V, I can actually run with 8 virtual processors, no problem there. What I had to do here is security, was to disable secure boot and stuff. And also in the integration services, I had to enable the guest services. That's kind of a weird thing that the memory stuff or the processor type. Yeah, and the same thing when you're going to start this. If you just select start here, right click on start, it will just start it, but you don't see anything. It just started up. So what you do is that you just use connect here instead and click start. And for some reason, Hyper-V is doing some snapshot thing in the background. So it asks if you want to use the latest one and whatever. Weird. Over here, the keyboard just works by default. And I also feel that I get better performance in the virtual machines with Hyper-V. But there are some weird stuff. First thing is the resolution here. Maximum you can use is 1920 by 1080. I have a UHD monitor, so it's 2560 by 1440. So I want to be able to run it a little bit higher resolution, but I can't. So if you go into settings here, and down here you have display a monitor. Highest resolution is 1920 by 1080. And another problem is audio. No audio at all. Hyper-V don't seem to be having some sort of virtual sound card, especially if you run it like this. I heard that you shouldn't really run the virtual machine like this with the Hyper-V. You should just start it over here in the console, and then you should use like another app called Remote Desktop and remotely connect to the virtual machine running in the background. And then you can change the resolution, and also you get audio. Weird. But yeah, I haven't tried it because I only have Ubuntu here. It's Linux, and it's a little bit of a hassle to install the remote desktop utility on it. So I just gave up on that. So yeah, there are kind of weird issues, and people say, well, why don't you run VirtualBox? And there's no way in hell that I'm going to run VirtualBox, because I was using it about a year ago and it was the worst experience ever, and the performance in the virtual machines were horrible. I could barely use the machines. No, not VirtualBox for me. There are another thing, or it's called Proxmox. Yeah, and that is not like VMware like this. It's more, you run it on a different computer. It's basically a server kind of thing, like ESXi. VMware, you have sort of these headless kind of virtual machine servers. So you basically have a different computer running Proxmox, and then you use like a web browser to connect to it and yeah, do stuff. And it also costs money. So it's there's a kind of a free version, but yeah, no, I might do it later. But yeah, right now, VMware kind of works right now for the things I do. So yeah, we'll see. But there are some weird issues that I have with this new computer. So new technology doesn't automatically mean better. I had more issues with this machine than my 7-year-old computer. So yeah, new doesn't mean better. So catch you later.